incorporating them into a drum beat in different ways. So hard to explain this stuff, but I kind of already touched on doing, you know, adding paradiddles and all that kind of stuff into rolls. One thing I like to do as well is to add my feet into the rolls. So a really simple way of starting off to do this is, and this is also another Mike Portnoy thing that I've ripped off from him, is basically you want to do, I think of it like 16th notes. So you're going to go right with your feet, or sorry, right left with your feet, and then right left with your hands. So played your snare before. So when you do it slow, it's more of a deliberate kind of. Okay, but as you get faster, it's more of like a flam. You guys know what a flam is? Does anybody not know what a flam is? Flam is, this is another really important rudiment to learn. Flam is when you, it's a single stroke, but you're using two hands to do it, and it's basically this. Okay, so one hand hits before the other one, but it's not like this. Okay, it's got to be. Okay. The best way to get a perfect flam is to, what you want to do is you want to raise both your hands up. And one is at a different height than the other, but then you bring them down both at the same time. Okay, same with your feet. I like these pedals. So if you just do a you can take this a step farther by, instead of just doing two strokes with your hands, you can do, you know, like 4. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. You do 6. Mix it up, you know, so do 2 on your feet. Mainly I'm maintaining just doing the 2 on the feet. And then you put the, you're doing the rest of it like all on your hands. If you do this, once you start getting into faster speeds, then it just becomes this weird flurry of notes that is just like, you're just like, ugh, because your mind is blown by the amazingness of it all. But that's something that you can kind of work on. It's really simple to like understand how to do it and everything. It's just a matter of kind of like figuring out how to add it into your playing and that kind of stuff. Another thing that I really like to get really fast rolls on your hands. I'm not like, right? It all comes from, I use my wrist quite a bit actually. These guys don't really use their wrists, but basically what I try to do is just do a really fast double stroke. And actually I think isn't that called a Moeller technique? Yeah. So basically the idea is that, and Derek was doing this, that you bring your stick down and the stick goes up. So that's your downstroke. When you do your upstroke, you're pulling the stick in and you're getting another stroke out of it. I'm not as good with my left hand, but so what you can do is okay. If you just do a single stroke roll, and you're going to do just 4 hits. Okay. What you can do is you can add double strokes. So, but what you want to do is you want to do it as a flam. Does that make sense? So what you're going to do is you're going to be doing, it's like a double stroke flam, I suppose you could say. So you're going to come down with your hands, and instead of just doing this, you're going to do a double stroke with each hand. And because you're coming down at a different time with your sticks, and you're just doing a regular double stroke, you're going to get this weird like kind of quick thing. The snare. It's like when you add that in. So it's a little bit different than going, just doing single strokes, because you're actually adding double strokes in, but then you're also using it as a flam. Another thing I really like to do is I like to throw in really fast, quick little rolls and little flourishes and stuff like that. And that's kind of part of my style, I guess, apart from just basic technique and all that kind of stuff. So actually, I'll play a beat from a song from one of my bands in Tikithira where I like things that are kind of I like things that are kind of like, you know, a little complex, something that like that's it's gonna be a little bit out of the ordinary to hear. Actually, I'm gonna put this back. So I do a lot of some of the rolls and stuff. I'm gonna use that kind of double stroke flam thing. So basically just. Another quick little roll there. It's not a flam or anything like that, but it's just kind of a bit of an accent. That's that whole flam thing. Too, okay. Same kind of idea. You're just doing a really quick double stroke kind of thing, but if you do it as a flam, then it's just this really fast flurry of 16th notes, which is really cool. One thing that I don't know how long we had this song for, I don't even remember, but like 6 years or something, but I always try to make it so it's not like so. Or just make it sound kind of jerky and weird and what else can I talk about here? Oh, let's talk about the freehand technique, because that's just something that people are always just. Anybody know what that is? Somebody call it gravity blasting, stuff like that. I had the opportunity a few years ago to go to the Johnny Rab clinic. Anyone know what Johnny Rab is? No? This guy, he's basically like. His day job is he's a country drummer, plays country music. He's from Nashville, but he actually won a few years ago. He won like the world record for the fastest drummer or whatever, and he's been beaten since then by like Mike Mangini and some other people now. But it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. But from his regular single strokes, but a lot of metal drummers are starting to use this technique. because when you're trying to do really fast blasting and stuff, maintaining that single stroke roll basically with your hand can become extremely tiring. Corey is really great at keeping that super solid blasting and stuff like that. But I've seen like who uses this? The dude from Origin, I think. Yeah, like he uses this, and so anyway, Johnny Rabb calls it the freehand technique. I saw him when he was here doing a clinic. I was helping out at the clinic, and afterwards he didn't even talk about the freehand technique, and that's kind of what he's all about. But he actually plays a lot of drum and bass, which I'm really into drum and bass myself. I don't know a lot of people make fun of that, but
that's awesome. Yeah.
So, but the thing is basically what it is I'm gonna go with my right hand easier, but so when I was talking to Johnny Rabb, you know, he didn't even talk about it at the clinic. He was playing it at the clinic, but he didn't really talk about it. I'm pretty sure it's because he'd been touring for years and talking about it. He was sick of it. But you know, at the end of the thing, we were all tearing everything down. I was like, "So Johnny, how about a little freehand technique there?" So he's like, "Yeah, sure." So he sat me down and he showed me how to do it. So I'm still not super great at it, but a lot of guys will use it with their blasting. So they'll be doing it like the really fast double bass and stuff like that, and they'll be adding in this kind of thing. Okay. This is really hard for most drummers to learn because it goes completely against everything that you've ever learned about technique. Okay. Because when you're first learning, you're making a nice stroke like this, and your hand comes down, and your stick bounces off the head, which that was the first thing I talked about, is you want to have a good bounce, right? With the freehand technique, you're actually pushing the stick down, and then you're bringing it back up, okay? And it's completely different than a regular stroke. The whole idea of this technique is that the way Johnny Rabb describes it anyway is that you have pretend like you're holding your stick from like a crane or something like that. You're going to just drop it straight down onto the head. And what's happening is it's basically kind of like doing a rim shot. So you're going to hit the rim and the head at the same time, and then you push the stick just a little farther down, and the stick stays on the rim. And then when you do your upstroke, you get another stroke out of that. Okay. So the tough part is that you want to go like this, but you really have to go. Okay, so it's a very simple thing to conceptually, but to actually do it is hard, and to actually get it into your playing is really hard. So basically, all you got to do is just sit there and go. Dude from I don't know the guy's name. It's Val Carnage. He I've seen a lot of metal drummers for whatever reason, your strong hand is better at doing it. So they'll be playing and they'll be doing their blasting and stuff like that, and then as soon as they go into the freehand thing, the right hand comes down and they're doing all their accents on their cymbals and stuff like that with their weak hand, which is kind of weird. But I'm trying to work on getting it so that I can actually play with my weak hand to do it. But so that's basically it. It's freehand technique. When you got a triggered drum, it's awesome because you can go really fast. It's a little weird because the faster you go, the shorter distance that your stick travels. So you don't quite have the same amount of attack and force hitting that drum when you start going faster. That's why a lot of guys that do this technique will use a triggered snare drum, because if you hit it that, it's still going to be nice and loud. Okay. Let's see if I can do a few little beats here on the kit. I still don't really have the ability to do this while I'm blasting. But I can kind of do it with some more funkier types of grooves and stuff. And you can do it in terms of triplets. You can do it 16th notes as well, that kind of thing. So. That's triplets. Da, 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 da. You can add 16 or yeah, like 16th notes in there, so you're doing groups of 4. So, I don't know, my arm keeps wanting to go like do this and stuff like that. So it's really tough to keep it like that. So, I don't know, blasting, like, guys will be like, that's a freehand technique, something that like your average teacher won't show you because they don't know how to do it, basically. It's kind of like weird shredding techniques for guitar players. That's just like this kind of obscure types of stuff that you can work on. So,
any challenges or anything else you guys want to talk about at all? Or?
So, all I can say really, I mean, when it comes to drumming and when it comes to trying to do this stuff, you got to know the basics, and that means doing press rolls and stuff like that, and being so that you can actually like. So that's just all the flow and all that kind of stuff happens. So. Playing double bass, just to kind of reinforce what we've been already talking about, you definitely want your double bass to be in time with your hands. So practicing stuff like, actually here's an exercise that you can work on that I use all the time. Try keeping your kicks just going steady. And I'm using a heel up technique for this. Once again, I'm not like doing this. Okay, this comes from the ankle, and then I just basically I'm doing double strokes, single strokes, double strokes, and paradiddles, and try to keep it so that your feet and your hands are locked together. So. And keep your feet just kind of moving, and then just try to add in all that kind of stuff. Hit your cymbals too. So. A lot of times I'll practice it just on my cymbals, like even just a paradiddle with the hi-hat, with the double kick, just so I could hear better if I'm hitting them at the same time. What else? So yeah, just keeping that going. And then, yeah, I mean, eventually you don't want to just do the whole time. You want to be able to go. So. Okay, here's another exercise that I do. I call it the quarter note, eighth note, 16th note exercise. I do it on my hands, and I'll try to do it on my feet as well. So what I do is basically I'll just do 2 bars of quarter notes, 2 bars of eighth notes, and 2 bars of 16th notes. Try to keep time on my foot, and then when I add my double bass in, I'll just do consistent double bass on it. So it's basically like 1, 2. You can do the same thing, try to do it like a beat or something like that with your, like on your hands. So like. You gotta get faster though, you gotta play 30-second notes, so it's gotta be. Wow. That all just comes from, basically that speed just comes from learning how to play quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, and then you just double it up every time, and then you get your 30 seconds and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I think that's quite a bit for today. So thank you very much everybody for coming out. So awesome to see everybody out checking out some killer drumming and stuff like that. So don't forget to sign up for the Metalfest draw to get in for the Friday